Alright everyone, today we're going to take a look at the brand new 2026 PS Vita. No, wait, the 2G Vita. This fantastic device is brought to us by ANBERNIC. Let's go ahead and dive straight into the unboxing, shall we? So what we're unboxing right now is the Youth Edition, which is the 2G Vita, and there's also the 2G Vita Pro. This right here is the console unit itself, which I'll just set aside for the moment. Underneath, we have the user manual, a tempered film on the back, an A to C charging data cable, and also a soft flannel bag. It should fit a PS Vita perfectly. Alright, first off, you'll notice the joysticks are symmetrical. Let's go ahead and peel this off. The Youth Edition also offers a retro grey color, so you can choose whichever one you prefer. There are also Pro versions with pure white, but this feels identical to a PS Vita. If you were thinking about getting a PS Vita, but it's hard to get your hands on, then I would definitely recommend this. The Pro version, however, is available in pure white. When you hold it in your hand, it feels absolutely identical to a PS Vita, doesn't it? Alright, let's grab the PS Vita here. This is essentially a slightly elongated PS Vita E 1000 if you will, complete with its integrated seamless glass panel right here on the front. Regarding the buttons, we can observe that the D-pad and the ABXY buttons are not crafted from crystal material. However, these specific buttons right here indeed are. It includes a small ergonomic indentation on the back grips, present on both sides. The texture on this is a really fine matte finish. The back of the PS Vita has rear touch, which is why this part is plastic. This surrounding trim doesn't have a chrome finish, it's black, matching the body color precisely. This gives it a sleek, integrated look, contributing to its modern design, rather than a contrasting metallic shine. The design aesthetic is just like the PS Vita, transitioning from a flat surface to a curved one right here, and then again from a flat surface to a curved one over here. Its net weight is 277 grams, making it feel very similar to the PSVE 1000. The weight is 274 grams, so you could say they're quite similar. While it's powering on, let's take a moment to examine the feel of the buttons. Starting with the D-pad, it features conductive rubber with a supportive central pivot. As for the ABXY buttons, they are arranged in the familiar Nintendo Switch layout. Conductive rubber. As for the joysticks, they are Hall effect joysticks. We can see they have RGB lighting effects all around them, and they also support being pressed down. Then we have its function keys, the home button, back button, 2G front access button, and the select start buttons. These are all dome switches. The shoulder buttons are micro switches, and the trigger buttons are also micro switches. Up top, we have the power switch and the volume up-down controls. I'm not entirely sure what this particular button does just yet, but we'll certainly figure that out shortly. Following that, we have the power and charging indicator light, as well as a convenient Type-C port. At the bottom, you'll find two speakers, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and support for up to 2 terabytes of memory expansion. There are no ports whatsoever on either the left or right sides. Now, looking at the back, you'll see the ANBERNIC LOGO. Above it, it states a 5000 mAh battery with a maximum charging speed of 5 volts, 2 amperes, which translates to 10 watts. Right here at the top, you'll find a vent specifically designed for passive cooling. It does not incorporate any active cooling mechanisms. Its screen is a 5.4-inch 720p display. All the detailed specifications have been included right here for your convenience, so please feel free to take a look. It features a T618 processor, 3GB of RAM, and 64GB of storage. The screen is centrally located, meaning the top and bottom bezels are perfectly symmetrical. On the PS Vita, there's a distinct chin with the PS Vita logo. It's actually quite appealing that they chose not to include the ANBERNIC logo here. It maintains a very clean, symmetrical look. Right now, we're playing a game on the PS Vita. This is Persona 4 Golden, a truly classic title from the series. Even fast-forwarding presents no issues at all. When playing these types of less demanding games, it's currently maintaining a completely smooth, full frame rate. However, the PS Vita's text rendering does have some notable problems. For certain games, its optimization is notably poor. For example, if we were to look at Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball now, it would have a lot of texture errors, so we won't even attempt it. Let's check out Batman instead. Now let's test out how the combat performs and see what we get. It's not too bad. Some of the graphics might flicker a little bit. Ouch, I just got kicked. That hurt. This T618 processor should handle PSP games without any issues whatsoever. As you can clearly see from the image shown, we're currently running at a 2x PSP resolution. Since this is an emulator, we can easily fast forward through this section right here, which is very convenient. The frame rate is displayed in the top right corner, so do keep a close watch on it. Oh no, I just got a kick. Currently, the frame rate appears to be consistently holding at a stable 60 frames per second. It's really running quite smoothly, as you can see, which is impressive for this particular game. This T618 processor can entirely and completely handle this kind of game, with absolutely no problems at all. This is also running at 2 times the original PSP resolution, which means it's pretty crisp, as you can see there. So, let's go! And even in these expansive, large-scale scenes, it handles it without a hitch. We're getting a consistent 30 frames per second at 2x resolution. What about the PS2? Let's take a look at God of War on the PS2. First, we'll check out God of War 2. In the graphics settings here, we can see it's at 1x native resolution with a moderate 60% underclock. However, just pay close attention to the frame rate. In the upper right corner, it's currently holding steady around 30 frames per second. He's unleashing a powerful special move right now, and regarding the vibration, if you're curious, it's just a regular vibration effect, nothing too unusual or complex. This particular processor, however, finds it somewhat challenging to smoothly run larger, more graphically intensive PlayStation 2 games. Now, let's take a look at Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi. We're still using the same medium frame skip, along with a 60% underclocking for optimal performance. The frame rate is approximately 20 frames per second. The frame rate is around 20 frames per second right now, more or less. It's around 25 frames per second, with some slight fluctuations up and down. Yeah, it's not perfectly stable. For a game that's not overly demanding in terms of skill requirements like Contra for the PS2, it runs quite well. This will absolutely not be a problem at all, no problem at all. It maintains a very stable frame rate throughout, delivering a smooth experience. As for these other supplementary games, they don't require high skill levels, so we won't be testing them in great detail. Next, let's check the physical buttons for special moves and see if the D-pad has any ghosting issues. In Contra, if you make a special move mistake, such as lying down or performing a diagonal down attack, it triggers correctly without any ghosting issues. The input detection is quite responsive and accurate. Let's try a special move in a fighting game once more, using the D-pad. We need to ascertain if there are any ghosting issues with the directional buttons. The special moves work fine, even the C button moves come out perfectly. It also offers ANBERNIC AI's convenient one-click game trial and translation features. We'll start by checking out the one-click game trial function. It's completed the scanning process, and as you can plainly see, it has indeed identified the game as Street Fighter 3. It teaches you how to execute special moves, including techniques for combos and more. Since it's an Android device, let's go ahead and try streaming from a PC. Currently, we're streaming at 720p. You can see the decode time is approximately 7 milliseconds, and the web page latency is roughly 8 to 10 milliseconds. Let's go ahead and enhance it, bumping it up to 1080p. At 1080p, the decode time is at least a little bit higher, increasing to around 10 milliseconds. This particular screen you see is 720p, so for our purposes, 720 is perfectly sufficient. As for the button located at the top, it functions as the S4 button when you're actively streaming. Of course, it also has MIUI Quick Mail, which is now on all of ANBERNIC's Android handheld consoles, letting you run games directly. Wild Racing, that particular game does require a membership, so whether you get it or not really depends on your needs. However, other Android handheld gaming devices should also be able to download and run this application just fine. The system also supports over-the-air updates. When playing Android games, it has button mapping capabilities. Let's take a look. Simply long press to open it, and from there you can configure your button settings. This feature allows you to adapt games that typically lack controller support, making them fully playable. So, all in all, the T618 processor is a chip we've seen in various devices over the past few years, proving its continued relevance and consistent performance in the market. The RG305 and the RG505, they both have them. I'm sure you're all very familiar with its performance. It can handle PSP games at 2x resolution, and some PS2 games are playable. Now let's go ahead and dismantle it so we can get a good look at how the internal components are arranged and performing, shall we? So, here's what it looks like inside. It's actually quite well organized. This processor doesn't have any cooling system, so you won't find any heat dissipation components in this particular area. And here we have its battery, which has a 5000 mAh capacity, translating to 19 watt-hours. Quite a substantial battery life indeed. So, what are your thoughts on the internals? Now let's take a moment to listen and hear the sound quality coming from these two speakers. I'm quite curious to assess their performance. It's pretty good. There's absolutely no static, and the performance is quite standard for a handheld of this particular size, you know. Alright, let's go ahead and summarize everything. The overall design of this ANBERNIC RG Vita is quite appealing, quite frankly. The screen is centered, which is definitely a significant plus, making it a very aesthetically pleasing device. It's a bit of a shame that the D-pad and ABXY buttons, including the shoulder buttons on the top, are not made of crystal material. If it were crafted from that crystal material, like the PS Vita, the tactile sensation would undoubtedly be superior. Of course, it would be much better if the ABXY buttons were also the PlayStation symbols: circle, cross, triangle, and square. However, you'll probably have to get creative and DIY that part yourself. The processor is the T618, and honestly, for those graphically demanding games, it just falls a bit short in terms of performance. It's really not up to par for those kinds of titles. I'm still really looking forward to the PS. Oh no, wait a minute, I'm actually really excited to see how the RG Vita Pro is going to perform. Its price hasn't been revealed yet, so how much do you all reckon it's going to cost? They also haven't yet announced the processor for the RG Vita Pro. It's highly probable that it won't be released until sometime after the new year. Well, that concludes this video for today. If you found it enjoyable, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing to show your support. Wishing all of you a day filled with happiness and joy. This has been Wanjishe signing off. This screen looks really deep and rich, quite dark. It definitely has a much better aesthetic appeal than the gray version. Personally, I highly recommend going for the black one.